Welcome to Step by Step, a video Bible study series presented by the Monte Vista Church of Christ in Phoenix, Arizona.
One of my favorite holidays to celebrate each year in our country is the national holiday of Thanksgiving. I really enjoy the holiday of Thanksgiving. I enjoy it because it allows me to spend some quality time with my family. I get to watch a lot of football on Thanksgiving, and I get to eat a lot. I get to eat a lot of turkey and cranberry sauce and all the other kinds of things that we enjoy to eat on this holiday. I also enjoy Thanksgiving, and I really appreciate the holiday because what it represents is a biblical concept. Over and over again in the Bible, both in the Old Testament and in the New Testament, the Bible encourages us, it urges us to be people of thanksgiving. It urges us to have an attitude and a mindset of thanksgiving towards the blessings of God throughout our lives. We need to have this spirit in our hearts because there are just so many blessings that come to us. For example, one of the blessings that come to us when we live our lives every day with a spirit of thanksgiving is the blessing of joy. Joy and happiness. And the 23rd Psalm. And the 23rd Psalm, probably the most famous psalm of all the Psalms, David says these words after acknowledging the Lord as his shepherd. He says in verse number 5, you prepare, referring to what God does for him. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Verse 6, surely goodness and loving kindness would follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Notice how David describes his life. He describes his life by using the illustration of a cup. He says that if his life was a cup and his blessings were water, then the water would be overflowing the cup. The blessings would be overflowing out of the cup which represents his life. David says that God had blessed him tremendously in his life, and that brought him a lot of joy. That brought him a lot of happiness in his life. The question is, do we have a mindset like David? Are we thankful for the blessings that God has given us, and does that bring us great joy? Are we happy every single day of our lives because we recognize that God has given us a family and He's given us a home and employment, income, a great country to live in. He's given us clean water to enjoy every single day. He's given us, if we're Christians, the wonderful gift of salvation found in Jesus Christ. When we live with a spirit of thanksgiving every single day, then we're going to have joy. We're going to understand that, like David, our cup also overflows, but not only do we experience the blessing of joy when we have an attitude of thanksgiving, a second thing we also enjoy, a second blessing that comes to us, is the blessing of contentment. Contentment. In Philippians chapter 4, in Philippians, the 4th chapter, the Apostle Paul wrote these words, Philippians 4 and verse number 10. He says, but I rejoice in the Lord greatly, that now at last you have revived your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned before, but you lacked opportunity. Not that I speak from want, for I've learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. I know how to get along with humble means, and I also know how to live in prosperity in any and every circumstance. I've learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need. I can do all things. I can do all things through Him, through Jesus who strengthens me. It is important for us to acknowledge that when the Apostle Paul wrote these verses, he was locked up in a jail cell. He was in prison. He was imprisoned in Rome just because he preached the gospel, just because he preached the resurrection of Jesus Christ. He was not living through a good experience at all at that time, and yet Paul says that he was still optimistic about life. He was still happy and satisfied because he had learned to be content. He had learned to be content with the relationship he had with Jesus Christ. He had learned to be content with the strength he received from Jesus. He had learned to be content with enjoying the spiritual blessings that came from Christ. Because Paul was thankful for the blessings he had in Christ, because he was content with those things, then he knew he could get through every circumstance. That was a blessing in his life. And so when we have a spirit of thanksgiving, we receive joy and we receive contentment. But then third and finally, I want to submit to you that we also receive the blessing of humility. The blessing of humility in Luke, the 18th chapter. In Luke 18 and verse 14, after Jesus told the parable of the tax collector and the Pharisee, Jesus said in Luke 18 and verse 14, I tell you that this man there is a reference to the tax collector, the humble man, the man who humbled himself in the presence of God. He says, I tell you that this man went to his house justified rather than the other, rather than the self-righteous Pharisee. For everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but he who humbles himself will be exalted. Notice how humility, according to Jesus, is absolutely necessary to please God. It is absolutely necessary to glorify God on any level at all. And when we live our lives with a spirit of thanksgiving every single day, we're going to get that blessing. We're going to get the blessing of humility. We're going to get the blessing of humility because we're going to understand that at the end of the day, God is the source for every blessing in our lives. We are not the source of our blessings, but God is. He's the source of the blessing of our family and our transportation and our food and our country and the very air that we breathe, and especially the salvation and relationship that is found in Jesus Christ. When one lives their life every day with a humble attitude, acknowledging God as the source of their blessings, then they're on a path to truly please God. Then they're on a path to be like Jesus and glorify God at a very high level. And so let us live our lives with a spirit of thanksgiving, not just around this time of the year, but every single day, because there's just so many blessings that come to us when we have that mindset consistently.
Thanks for watching. For more online Bible study material, or to find more episodes in this series, visit us on our website at montevista.church.